We are back with another Age of Mythology Retold point of view cast. Today we are watching Ulysses AOT against Husk Soup. We are watching the Thor player. So there's a reason that I want to watch this. Currently I'm playing in the Keen Captain's Winter Draft Tournament, which is a team game tournament. And I found myself playing a lot of Norse. It's kind of by accident. There will be a video coming out on it when the tournament's finished. But I really need to see some Norse play. So I want to watch Thor because I feel like Thor was my favorite Norse from Legacy, and it's the Norse player or the Norse god that oh my god, I can see myself playing. So that is what I'm choosing to do. So I kind of want to see what a modern build looks like, and Ulysses seems to be one of the only top players that's actually playing Thor. So I want to see what he's after. So this is very similar to what I start doing. So I get a dwarf out, I get 5 over here. I think I actually get 6 over here. And then you kind of force drop to get some of these copper armors out. You also do the same when you get up to the copper weapons. But it looks like he's also getting a gatherer in there. So rather than getting the 6 over here, he's just, which is what I do, not saying that that's right. He gets 5 over here to the gold mine and then decides to build a gatherer instead. And then what you do have to do, because you can't afford an ox cart, because it just completely wrecks your build, is you need to come over here with your berserk and kind of slap these guys. So what I like to do personally is if you want to try this, is you only need to hit them once. Hitting them more than once doesn't do anything for you until they stop. So what I do is I set my my berserk on control group number 1, then I put my gatherers here on control group number 2, and I put my town center on number 3, and then I'll just hit 1, slap once, then whenever it gets close to the town center, hit 3 to then right-click on the elk to actually kill it off near the town center. Because if you use the town center button, it jumps to the town center, just like that. So you would hit this, and then you would be hitting your town center key, and it basically shifts you off from wherever you are. He's also going around, interesting, getting some kills to get extra favor in, and I haven't swapped over my guy, which I apologize for. Is getting some extra favor in to get that Hammer of Thunder upgrade nice and early, which is something that I wasn't doing. So that I will take away and I will steal for my future team games. And just the one cheeky gatherer, which I think is a very good adaptation to the build. And something that's very good about this is what he's done here is he's got that 135 wood in the bank, so he can come back and drop the temple, and then basically everything comes over to the food. If anyone wants an updated Thor build, maybe I can find this to see if this is the kind of best build and do a little bit of a copy from it, because my old Thor build order is not up to date anymore, but that will not be a beginner build order because you have to slap these guys underneath the town center, which becomes very, very awkward. I think this build is definitely better than mine, though, because it takes the Dwarven Armory and everything that comes out goes straight on the gold mine, which is very, very nice. But it looks like he's going for a slightly delayed advance time. Rather than going for a 430, he's going for a 440 there. So whether or not some of these villagers were delayed, but anyway, he's gone for a 440, which is what he's decided to do. But he does have 3 extra villagers, or 2 extra villagers currently, and then we'll get a 3rd one coming soon. Okay, so this is very, very different. So it looks like he doesn't have the copper weapons upgrade either. But Berserk, as Thor, it's always very busy. You need to be constantly using it, and it means that you barely get any scouting action done. This is the one drawback of Thor, and you just got to see whether it's worth it to getting your armory down early. What you could do is get maybe a second Ulfsark, a second Berserk out to build it while you're going around scouting. If you're on a map like Oasis or Ghost Lake, where you need the extra scouting done, otherwise you're just behind. But on the map, I think this is Alfheim. Yeah, on the map Alfheim, you'll be absolutely fine to just scout later. It's not really a problem. Not many herdables or anything like that. So we decided to go through Forseti. I think Forseti is like the default choice, basically, for your Thor player now. Freya is good, and I think Valkyries are very, very strong. It looks like the Cyclops is coming in, which will force these dwarves out. But nice reaction just to run back. but there is double hero in. I don't think he hasn't really built any buildings yet, so these dwarves are going to have to run back, but they really don't mind just sitting back with the dwarves. Looks like this sitting back with the cows. Sorry, looks like that dwarf was getting a little bit. Well, he was trying to scare them off, getting a little bit aggy. Berserk over here. What's this? Ria's Crown. Town centers costs less. It is useful if you're going for town centers, but I doubt this is a matchup. Or, I mean, Thor doesn't often want to go for town centers unless it's very defensive. And this version of Alfheim doesn't look too defensive. I mean, what does this town center give you? The gold mines here. I mean, you could get this gold mine, wall it off. So maybe that's a pretty good town center for later, but it's quite a far away one. This one doesn't really give you much. It gives you these berries, but not the best thing in the world. Nice little bit of poke, but the watchtowers came out very early, which is, if you're not going to go for many buildings, it's a great aggression stopper. And also, it's just having a nice scout in the enemy base there with the Berserk, seeing that there's 2 military academies, so the hoplites are probably coming his way. But I've also watched a Soup game just before this one, and he actually went for Hippaspis. So he's going for Ares to get that Hippaspis tech in. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's actually what we see from the Soup perspective. Whether or not Ulysses knows that that's actually what's going to come his way. I was going to say Healing Spring, surprised it hasn't been dropped, but he drops that nicely to get his troll back up to full HP and also stops the aggression coming from this end. But unfinished buildings are going to go down so quick to the Cyclops. And I'm a little bit confused about what he's going for here. It's basically just keeping all his resources, trying to defend as minimal as possible. He's got his 3 main upgrades plus his Hammer of Thunder, which means those Persa are very, very strong. Deciding to get an extra troll out. Troll, very defensive unit. Oh, there was a great haul over here that I actually missed. Just jump back over here. So he is against Hippaspis and Hippias, seeming like the comp of choice for Soup there. Nice micro to pull back the troll. Probably the best unit of the classical age Greek is the classical hero. So nice to take that out nice and early. Just has to worry about the Ajax now. And the Ajax does have a 12 times multiplier against these guys. Pestilence dropping down, which is good to stop the tower damage from the watchtowers. It actually loses both those trolls there. Whether it was worth running them back here rather than sitting next to the healing spring. But whether or not this is worth it, I mean, it looks like both players just basically lost loads of their army. And that should really benefit the defensive player, but, I mean, he has had Pestilence drop down on him. So I'd assume that was pretty even. I mean, looking at the score, it's very even. Thor is normally slightly ahead in the score just because he has extra villagers. We can see from here, we shouldn't really see the other perspective, but we can see that he is just 3 villagers ahead, which just means he's lost 1 compared to Soup there, because he has got 4 extra from this Dwarven Armory here. Raider's going to have a look. Got to get some scouting action in. And some more Raiders coming through just to basically push Soup off of any forward hunt that he might find himself on. Because you don't want someone to get away with anything for free. So just building a handful of Raiders, even if that's not what you're going for, this is exactly what he wanted to find, just to be able to push these villagers off. The villagers can turn around and actually fight this probably. Raiding cavalry, unupgraded Raiders are quite weak, but maybe 4 is not enough to scare them off. So actually we'll also pick off a villager there, which is very, very nice. And that is one of the benefits of playing Norse, is you get these fast Raiders with their 6 speed. And all you need to do is just build a few, be absolutely fine. Might got a couple of kills there, actually, nicely. Also gets his medium Raiders in, which will make these guys a lot more tanky and be able to deal a little bit more damage as well. It's also seen that the Hippaspis are out, and a good counter to them. I mean, not a counter to them, but they do very well against the Hippaspis, because Hippaspis have a very small amount of damage and a big multiplier against infantry. So if you can get Raiders that have just more base attack, you can do very well. So they have the 7.5 attack there, 105 health, whereas Raiders have 116 and 9 health, 9 attack. So they're basically just a little bit better. They're not counters, they're just a decent unit to build into them. These are the guys, though. Throwing Axemen are going to be the ones. It's like dwarfs coming up here on this hunt. And we can actually see that Soup is building an archery range up here to try and stop the gold mine from coming over. But Ulysses has the perfect back gold mine. So we said maybe this wasn't the most defensive map. A perfect back gold mine, which is the one downside of Thor. Well, we said one earlier, which was the lack of scouting. Nice raids coming in though. Does decide that Sentinels are a little bit scary, but comes back in anyway because the wood villagers are deciding to carry on. But we'll probably lose at least one raider for this. I'd be very surprised if it gets out for free. Only loses one though, so definitely worth it. And runs away from this. Throwing Axeman, very good against the Hippaspis. A very good army against Hippaspis. There's only these Hearses are going to get tear down very, very quickly, but you really do need them against the Cyclops. So what I was trying to say is the other weakness of Thor is he gets through gold really quick because you build loads of these dwarves. So a back gold mine is perfect. He's also used his dwarven gold mine already. Maybe that was before we found that one. Something that these players do also like to do is use their dwarven gold mine a little bit early to then get the extra benefit of actually attacking, getting the extra gold income because you gather that quicker. But it looks like a decent fight. These Cyclops are going to be scary. As you have the Cyclops upgrade, maybe even just jumping through this watchtower would have been a nice idea to not lose any HP, but decided not to. Nice retreat around the Dwarven Armory so that can't actually attack. I'm not sure if that's what he did on purpose, but if that Cyclops would have thrown the horse in the direction of the throwing axeman, it would have gone down pretty quick. 3 Cyclops coming in. Really needs to sit under this healing spring and just bring everything back up to full HP. More hearses are needed. The Raiders come back, and he's got a pretty scary army, to be honest. He just doesn't want to group it up against those Cyclops. Might even be worth going to the next stage, which it looks like he is close if he cancels some of these hearses. He already has his armory up, obviously. So then he could get out some Godi rather than the melee hearses, but looks like he's just sent all of the raiders, all 16 raiders. He wants to get some big raid off, or just gonna have a look around. I thought maybe he'd leave some at home just in case the immobile army of Hades comes and attacks him, but decided not to. Wants to swing around the back to this gold mine, and does manage to find it, but the army's going to be there to greet him. He just has to run away. Pretty quick reaction time there. But that was a nice move though, where he swung all the way around the back. But it looks like Soup must have spotted it at some point. He absolutely denies that. Some more walls coming down to block off this gold mine. Very well placed house for that. He did also leave this granary. I guess Ulysses just checking just in case. Back out on this hunt, but not with that many villagers. I guess maybe it's not worth it just to send loads out. He is going to be through this gold mine very, very quickly. And then where does he go? I guess he just goes to this one, or maybe this one on the front, but it means he's going to need some kind of big force to get out there, or maybe he can get up to the next stage, get a frost or flaming weapons to kind of push through. He is also going for raids while all this is happening. So he's losing a great hall and some houses on the front, but trying to get some damage with these raiders while everything's happening. Oh, big pick up here. Oh, gets caught on the tree. That was pretty unlucky. Very good for Ulysses, though, that he didn't get hit by the flying villager. Raiders did spot some villagers there. Maybe he wasn't paying attention because he needs to retreat on this bit. Because if the Hippaspis do get on the throwing axeman, they do better. But the throwing axeman have mainly counters just because of the range. Second pestilence being dropped down. I'm pretty sure he did that earlier. So this is a paid-for pestilence. And not deciding to do any micro with these throwing axemen, just sitting there and kind of just taking it. But the main damage is going to come from those Cyclops. Throws them a little bit too far. The AoE damage, look at the AoE damage of this Cyclops. Each hit just does so much. Aphrodite comes through, big curse coming in. It's really surprised he's not just retreating through. Maybe it's something I do too much of. I do a lot of micro to kind of sneak through all of the town centers and the towers and things, but does manage to defend. Takes down the high value units of the Cyclops. And even though the curse came in, it wasn't enough. Even with these raiders being gone as well. Just having a little look at this settlement, because there was a wall coming up. There might have been the villagers coming for this, just to steal it, just to make it a little bit harder to get the gold mine, but always worth a check. And instead going for this town center. But it'd be interesting to see what kind of gold mine he goes for. I mean, he should be fine. He should have a lot more population than Soup because Soup did lose a lot on that big attack that just happened. It's also deciding to go through Bragi. So the choices are Bragi or Skadi. Frost or Flaming Weapons, so he's deciding to go for the Flaming Weapons and Battle Boars, which is a pretty good choice, I would say. It's the one I kind of default to more. I mean, Skadi's good if you want to get lots of food income, which he does have a lot of pigs here to have and a decent amount of farms. So maybe it would be a good choice. And the buffed throwing axeman, which it looks like he hasn't actually built too many of those. Let's all over here. A big stun from that Nemean lion. I think, yeah, the sound was just a little bit delayed there. I wondered why those guys were just standing there, whether they got shockwaved or something, but nope. Yeah, putting a stop to this side gold mine. I didn't realize that's why he was walling himself in there. Looks like he's, rather than go for a gold mine out, he's dropped himself a second dwarven mine, which is something very, very good for Thor to do, because it costs 50 or an extra 50 each time. A bit of cheeky Pegasus micro to distract the throwing axeman there. I did miss a little bit of this fight. I don't know if it was a big fight or not, but it looks like... Oh, no. Soup's army went that way. Just a couple of stragglers that were left behind. But very nice surround from these raiders. Heavy raiders as well against the medium tox. Just gonna surround those and do very well. And just well played by Ulysses there. So I think this is the build that I'm probably going to try and steal and replicate. And just well played all around there. There was a bit of an all-in from Soup, and he did some nice bits early, and then I think maybe just overstayed on that last little bit. And Ulysses just stood his ground with his throwing axeman, got all his defensive buildings up, and played it pretty nicely. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one.